Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we've got a new series, and it's been a while since I've done a new series of videos because most of my videos have been, ideas that I came up when I started the channel. This is not a top 10 where we focus on individual notes, perfumers portfolio, where we focus on the perfumers behind the scent and giving them credit and highlighting their work. And this year in perfume, where we focus on the year that the fragrances were released. Ramsey's ramblings on discontinued fragrances, where we just talk about a bunch of different discontinued fragrances. Those were kind of the high-level concepts I came up with when I started the channel. And one that's been requested multiple times, actually, is to talk about vintage fragrances that are still good in their modern formulation. So something that you don't have to go to eBay and go on some grail hunt to find some 1984 bottle of, and there's one seller and they've got it priced at a 4-digit price tag. You don't have to do that with these. You can just go to any fragrance discounter of your choice, or even eBay will have a bunch of these at cheap dollar prices. Sometimes even the department stores will carry some of these still. But the problem is finding vintage fragrances that are still good in today's modern formulation. It's very hard to do, okay? So this video is not going to be long and drawn out like some of my videos are. I picked 5. I'll probably do another session where I pick 5 more. And we also have an unboxing today. Well, not really an unboxing, but kind of a quick opening up. It's like it's like Christmas for Ramsey. My perfume god people send me stuff all the time, and I'm very grateful for. And I know who this is from, but they would like to remain anonymous. So, to you very kind folks out there, especially the one who sent me this package, you know who you are. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I'm going to try to open this up here without ripping it too bad or spilling the perfume inside. Let's see if I can do this in a graceful manner. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see. Let's see what's in the box, shall we? Okay, so we have some samples. Look at this. Sample pack. Let's see what we have here. The first is Aaron Terrence Hughes Oud. Now, the same perfume god person who would like to remain anonymous also sent me Aaron Terrence Hughes Tabak. So this is Tabak, and I plan on reviewing this once the weather turns, and I will do the same with Oud. So I told him that I don't like, very sweet perfumes. And he said, let me send you a couple, fragrances that fit the bill that I think you should get your nose on. And one of them was Aaron Terrence Hughes' Oud. And I have to say, even though I haven't done a video on Tabak yet, I wore it to bed a couple times. And I am a bit of a fan. It took me a little bit, the first wearing was a little strange. The second wearing, I liked it a little bit more than the first wearing. I don't know if I would buy a bottle, but we'll save the whole review for another video. But Aaron Terrence Hughes Oud came out in 2020. And it is a rose, oud, raspberry date, benzoin, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla, and ambergris fragrance. Sounds interesting enough. I don't know if he uses real oud. I know Aaron Terrence Hughes had a situation where he accused a brand. I won't say their name here, but you could probably easily find out who it was, of not using real oud, and they actually sent him a letter forcing him to take the video down and read an apology because they claimed that they did use real oud. So he ended up getting it GCMS tested, and it was like 0.00001, almost to where they could bear, just so they could say they use real oud, but for you know, composition purposes, it was almost nothing. So yes, I'll be curious to see if he actually uses real oud after that. You know, and the reading of the letter was brutal. It looked like someone was holding a gun to the back of his head while he read the letter. I'm sure some lawyer drafted. Tough times. Okay, and then we've got Louis Vuitton Fleur du Désert. I've never smelled this. Actually, I can't say many Louis Vuittons I've been taken with. There is maybe one or two that I would really like to get my nose on further and understand further and wear further, but their pricing on that, on this line, whatever this new line of perfumes Louis Vuitton has been coming out with, is absolutely insane. But Jacques Cavalier is the in-house perfumer, so this is a floral sweet fragrance. Jasmine, orange blossom, rose centrifolia, Assam oud, honey, cinnamon, ambrox, and ambrette. So probably not my cup of tea because I don't like sweet, but I will give this a shot. And a couple other things that we have here. One is, what's in the bag? What's in the baggie? Oh, all kind of goodies. Okay, so this is a house I've actually heard of, but I've never smelled any of their fragrances. The house is called Pine Ward. And apparently this is created by a kid who grew up in the mountainous Rocky Mountain area, maybe. And all of these fragrances are supposed to, you know, bring him back to his childhood of, you know, spending his time in the woods and stuff like that in the forest. So this is Pinewood Funéraire. And there's a bunch of them here, actually, so I'll go through them real quick. But Funéraire came out this year. So the chap's name is Nicholas Nilsson. And this is rose, leather, tobacco, smoke, pine, frankincense, a pompanax, Virginia cedar, conifer needle, and oud. I can tell you right off of smelling it from the atomizer that I think I'm going to like this. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a chest congestion going on today. And so yes, it's a brand that I'm very glad he sent because I'm very interested in smelling. They also did one called Treacle, which Treacle came out in 2021, so last year. Tobacco, Lapsang Souchong Tea Absolute, molasses, raisin, and honey. It smells amazing from the atomizer, though. I think this brand is a little bit of a hidden gem. Pine Ward. Pastoral. Pastoral is not on here. I don't think it's on here. It's a missing one. Let's see what else we got. We got Fanghorn 2. So we got Fanghorn, which came out in 2020. Fanghorn 2, resinous green, silver fir, moss, lichen, pine needle, and soil. Look at the color of this juice. Looks very natural. The juice color reminds me of some of those old Slumber House fragrances. You know, look at the color of this one. This is Nocturnus. From the atomizer, they all smell right up my alley. I like these kind of dark, daring scents. Nocturnus. So it says the that the fragrance label Pine Ward is truly unique in the fragrance world for numerous reasons. First, the perfumer behind the fragrance is a young American entrepreneur, Nicholas Nilsson. He was born in 1995. He's a young kid. Spent most of his time in the forests of the Rocky Mountains. As a child, Nilsson was fascinated by woody scents, rugged landscape, and unblemished nature. Man, these smell absolutely stunning from the atomizer. Revelaries. Revelaries is this one. Here's Revelaries, which came out last year. Rum, clove, cinnamon, oud, hazelnut, raisin, and apple. This smells like, I mean, this smells like beautiful Christmas in a bottle. Absolutely. And we've got Cotswold. Cotswold is 2021 smoke. I like how he uses smoke. I can tell you already, I can tell from the atomizer that there's lots of smoke added. I like that. Smoke, cedar, oak, ponderosa pine needles, very specific, and vanilla. And then finally, we've got Guerlain. And Guerlain is a 2021 release. So it's a new house, obviously. Must have came out 2 or 3 years ago. Hemlock, fir needle, larch cone, sandarac, momi, sandalwood, Vietnamese oud. All right, good stuff. So very excited to dive into this house and do some early impressions for you guys. And I guess it comes with a little pouch and the little card talking about each one. So cool. Good stuff. Thank you very much, mate. You know who you are. I very much appreciate you thinking of me with these, because this is stuff I'd probably never get to smell without your generosity. So I really do appreciate it. Very blessed to have friends like this in the community. Let me just put this away so I don't lose it, and then we will jump into the actual point of the video, which is the 5 fragrances that are still worth grabbing in their current iteration, vintage. I get asked this question more than you would imagine. There's lots of people that would just love to go to, you know, Fragrance X or, you know, fragrancebuy.ca and just hit buy and buy whatever the most current thing is without worrying about hunting down vintages. Some people, that's just not their thing. You know what I mean? It's not their thing. They don't want to hunt vintage bottles. They're not into that. They figure if a brand reformulates, it's not for them. You know, that kind of stuff. And I understand where those people are coming from. So I picked 5. So first, let's do scent of the day, because we always do scent of the day on Channel Ramsey. And today's scent of the day is an absolute banger. This one I've really been smitten with, and it's still 90 degrees or so, 92, 93 here in Texas on September, what is the date? September the 6th, and it's still in the 90s, so this is going beautifully. This is Rose and Cuir by Frederic Malle. So Jean-Claude Elena worked on Rose and Cuir, and I love the sleight of hand that Jean-Claude Elena uses. You know, he does this, he does these tricks. You know, he makes you think you're smelling something when he's really using different ingredients. And this is a prime example of this. It's almost like a fragrance named Rose and Cuir with no rose and no cuir. And cuir is the French leather term. And so there's no rose in this. I don't think there's any leather in it, to be honest with you. If there is, it's way, way in the background, in the late dry down. Because mostly what you get is this spicy, very spicy bourbon geranium. Now, the fact that there's Nepalese Sichuan pepper mixed in makes it seem even more spicy than I think the geranium would on its own. But you get this fruity blackcurrant, and it mixes beautifully with the bourbon geranium. And blackcurrant was kind of like, you know, one of the fruit du jours that Aventis really brought forward. Everyone talks about the pineapple, but blackcurrant is another note that Aventis really highlighted. And, you know, when your nose continues to smell something like that and it becomes more and more prevalent in the culture, it becomes more and more popular. And I think this is a fantastic use of blackcurrant. Frederic Malle took those two, the blackcurrant here and the pineapple with music for a while, and just, you know, almost outdid Aventis, if you will. And there's vetiver, there's cedarwood, and apparently there's leather in the base. Now that leather is like Jean-Claude Elena transparent leather, okay? He loves using these watercolors, if that's the way you like to think about it. Very ethereal, nothing heavy, nothing, you know, you could probably hit yourself with this 8 times and just go right straight to the office and not offend anyone, even though this fragrance does last. This is not a light eau de cologne or anything. This fragrance lasts forever on my skin, but it's still, he's found a way to make it very floral, very green, you know, with those fruity accentuations from the blackcurrant. And I think it's absolutely stunning for warmer weather. This is a warmer weather frag for me. This is one of those leather frags when you want to wear leather in the heat. I mentioned Fan de Fendi Pour Homme was a designer leather. That's great for the heat. This is another leather that's perfect for the heat, if there's any leather in here. But, you know, if you have a hard time finding a rose fragrance that you like and you haven't tested rose and Cuir, give this a shot. This is really interesting stuff. And I'm learning that even though Jean-Claude Elena, even though his style is that ethereal watercolors, even though he feels like he's a minimalist, he's not. There's a lot of depth to his work, but you have to dig at it. You have to let your nose adjust and wear it and really try to understand it. It's not something that just presents itself to you. You have to get to know it. Okay, so that's my scent of the day, and I really enjoyed wearing that today. Okay, so let's do these 5 vintage fragrances from the past that are still good in their modern form. Number 1 is a fragrance that for the longest time I thought was discontinued. It's not. It's still available for purchase. It's currently being marketed by Coty. Now, this is Davidoff's Zino. Where's my microfiber cloth? I don't want the fingerprint police to come looking for me. I should get some gloves. Here we go. Davidoff's Zino. Now, this is a 30 ml bottle. I've got, or this is a 30, yeah, it's a 30 ml. I've got, I want to say, what are these? These are 75 ml. So I have 2 75 ml backups too. They're both, all of the Zinos I own are the vintage. Okay, I will tell you that. So this is Lancaster. The vintage is Lancaster, by the way. Parfums Lancaster. Parfums Lancaster. There you go. But the new stuff by Coty is still good, okay? So it's still something that I would recommend, especially for $18, $15, $20, you know. These smaller bottles can be had for $12, $15 if you get a really good deal. And I've seen these for $20 to $30 for 75 mils. Now the vintage Lancaster is going to be double or triple that, depending on, you know, the person selling the vintage, how much they want to try to upcharge you. But it's a fragrance that was created by Malle Almerac, and there's actually some really good articles on Zino if you want to dig further into its creation. Malle Almerac created this in 1986, and I think he is an amazing perfumer, by the way. You can't go wrong with a Malle Almerac scent. He made one of my favorite woody scents in Gucci Pour Homme 1 from 2003. And he made a bunch of fragrances I love. He made Escada Magnetism for men. I think I did an entire perfumer's portfolio video on him. So you can go check him out. Check out that video if you want to see what else he did. But the basically the premise behind this fragrance is that they wanted to take this woody, spicy, masculine type scent that they were creating at the time, and they wanted to offset it with a vanillic Shalimar-like base. So if you know Shalimar, if you're familiar with Shalimar, this is a refill Shalimar bottle I picked up from TJ Maxx for very cheap. This is just the modern eau de parfum, and it's absolutely stunning. I have the vintage Parfum de Toilette too, and that's even more stunning. But I think this is a 2016 bottle, but I could be wrong. Could be 2006. I don't know. I just know that it's amazing, and I didn't pay a lot of money for it. But if you know Shalimar, it's one of the greatest Orientals of all time, and it came out in 1925. Some say 24, some say 25. Some say it was released in 1920 to a select people and then released to the public in 25. Anyways, long story short, it's one of the most iconic fragrances of all time. That vanilla in the base of Zino Davidoff, they used Shalimar as a blueprint, okay? They used it as a chassis, basically, with the base. And, I mean, what a fragrance to kind of, you know, label yourself after or try to use as a icon. And they did an amazing job. I absolutely love Zino. Now, Zino has this barbershop top. So what tends to throw people off, and the reason that this gets compared to Beau de Jour, I don't think it's as close to Beau de Jour, but the reason that this gets compared to Beau de Jour is that the lavender in here, the barbershop top, the top of this fragrance smells like a barbershop fragrance. So it's almost like they took a Guerlain with that classic Guerlainade, that vanilla Guerlainade that the Guerlains are so known to use with the patchouli and that DNA from the House of Guerlain that is put in their fragrances over and over again. It's almost like they took that and stapled a barbershop fragrance on top and added a floral heart in the mid. Okay, so barbershop on top, floral heart in the mid, Guerlainade DNA dry down. Think about that. It sounds like a Frankenstein's monster, right? But it absolutely works. This is stunning stuff. You cannot find this level of perfumery for $20 or $30 today. Period. End of story. The fragrance that probably smells closest to this we'll talk about next. And then there's a very expensive niche fragrance which smells very similar to both, which I'll talk about afterwards, but just as a quick aside, okay? So choice number one for modern perfumery that's still available. And again, I thought this was discontinued for the longest time. It's not. It is still being produced and marketed by Coty. So the Coty bottles are the current ones. If you want to splurge, this is one of the situations where the vintage is not going to cost you much more. It might cost you a little more, an extra 30, 40 bucks, okay? But when you're paying double the price of the fragrance to get the vintage, it is more on a percentage basis, but it's not like Patou Pour Homme where you're going to spend $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on a bottle. You can still find these Lancaster vintages for relatively cheap, okay? All right, next fragrance. And I think that Guerlain saw what Davidoff did with Zino. And I think they said, you're not going to beat us at our own game, okay? And they released what ended up turning out to be my favorite masculine Guerlain of all time. Now, again, this is a vintage bottle, but I will vouch for the current stuff. The current stuff is still good. The vintage is better. Current stuff is still good. And it is Guerlain's Heritage Eau de Toilette. So this is, we jump from 1986 to 1992. Jean-Paul Guerlain's masterpiece to me. This is so deep and it touches so many levels. It's supposed to represent Foucault's pendulum, and you know, which the pendulum was created not to basically show the pendulum moving, but to show the rotation of the earth, right? The Guerlain house offerings rotate around Heritage to me, okay? I think this is the you know, this is the masterpiece fragrance, masculine, that Jean-Paul Guerlain worked on. Abbey Rouge is a very close second for me, okay? But there's just something about Heritage that is an instant, you know, instant click, instant love for me. Abbey Rouge took me a little bit of time to really get to know and understand, and now that I do know it and understand it, I do love it. That citrus lemony rosewood with the, you know, leather that comes in later in the base, and then that Guerlain DNA, now I absolutely love. But Heritage to me is just much more special because of the connection that it makes to other Guerlains. If you've smelled previous Guerlains, if you smell Jiki, you'll smell Jiki in here. If you've smelled Mitsuko, you'll smell Mitsuko in here. Shalimar's base, like we talked about with Zino, is here as well. And this fragrance is very complex. This fragrance has something like 20, 25 notes. I can't remember exactly how many, but there's a lot. It's very woody, and when you first spray, the opening does smell a little bit like a forest floor. It's got that tincture-like smell, and there's lots of lavender, okay? Lavender, aldehydes, it's fresh. Again, it's almost like you're smelling a barbershop, but it's not just a barbershop fragrance. It's much more, because it tends to dry into this beautiful, you know, AC from the channel smells good. And the reason I'm quoting him is because I can't think of a better word. He put it perfectly when he talked about this. He said that there's a rock star patchouli that starts to come out after the half an hour to 1 hour mark. And I completely agree. The patchouli here is a rock star patchouli. It's absolutely stunning. You get touches of rose and old school carnation, powdery orris, unbelievably meditative and comforting sandalwood. The kind of sandalwood you just don't smell nowadays in modern perfume. This is the kind of sandalwood I want to wear, not the sandalwood and stuff like Santal 33 or, you know, those kind of more childish fragrances, I would say. This is a boss scent. To me, this is a boss scent. This is CEO level to me. When I smell this, I think of someone who is completely buttoned up, has their stuff together, knows who they are, you know, somebody who fulfills their commitments to life and their family. And that's the kind of person that I see wearing this. Someone who, you know, if they went through hard times, they overcame them, and now they're using those to get better. That's the kind of person that I see wearing this. That's how deep this fragrance touches me. That's the kind of man that I see wearing this, right? And loads of oak moss in the base. Oak moss, it's ambery. There's some woods, so there's cedar in the base of this, and you'll get touches of musk, and it's everything. The fragrance is everything. And then to top it off, it's not just fragrances from the past. So I mentioned Jiki and Mitsuko, Abbey Rouge. There's also even a nod to the future in this fragrance, because the patchouli in here was used as the benchmark that the patchouli ended up being used in. So if you know this little gem, L'Instant de Guerlain Eau Extrême, the patchouli here is what was the foundation for this beautiful cacao, patchouli, tea, hibiscus. Oh, it's just absolutely stunning, you know. So not only is there the past in here, there's the future. That's why I said the House of Guerlain on the masculine side rotates around Heritage. And it's just an amazing story, an amazing creation. And I think Jean-Paul Guerlain struck lightning in a bottle with this. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime perfume. And the fact that you can still buy it right now, and Guerlain has kept the current stuff. For me, if you said, Ramsey, here's $60, okay? You lose your whole collection. You just have to go buy one fragrance for $60 retail. This is probably what I would buy. I mean, I would love to go have my Antaeus or my, you know, I would love to have my vintage Chanel Cuir de Russie. I would love to go have my Charles of the Ritz Koros, but those are going to take lots of searching, lots of looking, and big money, right? If you could just take your wallet right now to the, if you could just take your wallet right now, you know, to your local Macy's or whatever department store you use and buy a perfume for 50 or 60 bucks and have it as your all year wear, this would be it. Heritage. And for me, I prefer the Eau de Toilette. However, the Eau de Parfum is still an amazing fragrance. This is one where I can recommend both. With Abbey Rouge, which Abbey Rouge is not in this video, so I'm not going to recommend one or the other yet. If you know what I like, you know which one I would prefer. But that's one where I would make a specific recommendation. The good thing about Heritage is you could go either way. You could go with the modern Eau de Parfum. You could go with the modern Eau de Toilette. Obviously, the vintage gold cap Eau de Toilette is better. The old Guerlains had 5-digit batch codes on them. So this is much more rich. The ingredients smell higher quality. Obviously, as the years went by, they had to kind of reformulate. But it is a good modern reformulation. That's what the whole video is about. Okay, so that's the second one down. So the first one is Zino Davidoff. The second one is Guerlain's Heritage in either Eau de Toilette or Eau de Parfum. Number 3 is going to be one that's going to throw you off. This now, I'm going to have to define vintage for you because I'm going to go vintage anything from the year 2000 and before. All right, so it's 2022. So that's 22 years. You know, that's a quarter of a lifespan. I think that's fair to say. Anything 2000 and before is vintage. So this came out in 1994, okay? And this came out in 1994, and it actually doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, because there was a fragrance that came out 1 year later that blew up and gets all the love and all the credit, but that fragrance has been reformulated and butchered to death by the current owners of the perfume. So the fragrance we're talking about today is a fragrance called Animale Animale. And Animale Animale is a fragrance that's marketed by a company called Parlux. And what's interesting about the company Parlux is they are a crazy company because they don't care about what the outside world does. They don't follow trends. They just pretty much release their fragrances. They know they're going to sell 100,000 bottles a year, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people in South America wear this. Animale Animale came 1 year before this. Amen by Thierry Mugler. Now, Angel Women came out in 92. This came out in 94. Amen came out in 95, 96, somewhere around there, a year or two later. And this is the one that gets all the credit for the first masculine gourmand. No, this actually came first. The thing about this is, if you go to discounters, this can be had for peanuts. I think I saw this 100 ml bottle at fragrancebuy.ca just this last week. I was looking for $16. $16 you can have this. And if you like Amen, if you like that modern gourmand, coffee, honey, lavender, patchouli, you know, there's lots of patchouli in here. There's even a pineapple note in the top. There was pineapple before Aventus. We're going to talk about that later too. There's tobacco, there's vanilla, there's cedar, there's lemon, there's galbanum, there's lily of the valley, there's nutmeg, there's amber. This is a very it is sweet. That's the thing. But you know me, I don't like sweet fragrances. I love this because it reminds me of this. It reminds me of Amen. This gets no love. But as far as just spending your money on a bottle that was created in 2021, 2022, you know, a new bottle, you don't have to go hunt for a vintage of this. Whereas with Amen, if you said, "Hey Ramsey, I want to buy Amen," the reason this is not in this list is because you actually would have to go look for the Thierry Mugler version. You couldn't just go buy the Mugler version. Well, you could, but you'd be getting a shit fragrance, in my opinion. I think the house of Estee Lauder, I'm sorry, not fair Estee Lauder, I take that back. I think the house of L'Oreal absolutely butchered the Amen brand. And so you have to go hunt for vintage when you look for Amen, in my opinion. Can't just go buy the modern stuff. With Animale Animale, just go buy the modern. Parlux does a great job of keeping their fragrances modern. The formulation's up to date. You don't have to worry about vintage. You're getting a good fragrance. And this fragrance punches way above its weight class, okay? Don't expect Amouage or Rose de Dove quality, okay? So you're not going to get it on these $16 fragrances. But for what it is, this is an amazing vintage fragrance that you can just go buy right now and get a great deal on. So 94, I mean, you know, it's not 50s, 60s, 70s vintage, but I'm still calling this vintage. And I would say grab a bottle while you can. I mean, because I'm always curious, like, how long is Parlux going to be able to do this? They've been doing this for so long, where they just put out their fragrances every year and they don't give a shit about the world around them. And what's crazy is all these other houses that did that, eventually they get bought up. They get purchased by bigger houses, and Parlux won't, you know, it doesn't look like they want to sell. They want to just keep pumping out their fragrances. Now, there is one thing I have to caution you on. They released a fragrance a couple years earlier in the early 90s called Animale for Men. It's a completely different fragrance. It's lavender and freesia, and it's fresh, completely different. If you buy Animale for Men and you go, what in the hell is Ramsey talking about? There's no honey or coffee or patchouli in here. You bought the wrong fragrance. You have to get the one that says Animale for Men. Terrible name, I know, but it is what it is. And how about the bottle? I mean, with the claw or lightning strike, or how amazing is that? I do love the color of the juice though. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4. Number 4 is a fragrance that I literally did what I'm telling you to do right now. I went to the Estee Lauder website a couple years ago, and I bought the whatever the hell they were selling. And this is what I got. And damn it, it's amazing. This is Lauder for Men. Estee Lauder's Lauder for Men, which came out in 1985. Oh, it is spicy. It's woody. So there's cardamom and coriander, mandarin orange, and sage. Beautiful spicy sage in the opening. I love notes like coriander, sage in a perfume. They add this, you know, they add this intrigue, this layer of depth to a masculine perfume, which I really enjoy. And then there's patchouli, sandalwood, vetiver, amber, and oak moss. And on the front, if you've ever seen advertising for Lauder for Men, the bottle's badass, by the way. The deep vintage, if you're interested in that stuff like I am, is not green right here. It's actually gold all the way. See how the top is gold? See how it goes to green? So the gold here goes to green on the new stuff. The old bottles, it's gold all the way down. Okay, so if you ever see a cap and it's all gold, that's one of the vintage bottles. Also, there won't be all this writing on the vintage down here. It just says Lauder for Men, cologne, and that's pretty much it. There's not all of this extra copy. But if you've ever seen the advertisement for this, it's a man, and he's in a trench coat, like a brownish, gray, just very, very 80s trench coat, right? You know, the ones that used to tie, you would tie it, and he's sitting on the street corner, just looking out into the sky, and it's like Lauder for Men. And it's a perfect representation of this fragrance. I don't know why I think it is, but I do. I think it's a perfect representation of this fragrance. There is so the advertising campaign was a man named Bruce Boxleitner. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's a American actor apparently. And so there's a little bit of funk here, just a tad. It's nowhere near Koros level. It's nothing like Koros. But there is just a slight touch of that 80s funk, just a bit, you know what I mean? Just a little touch. It's very green. I think if you are a fan of 80s fragrances, you will like this, but there's nothing I can really compare it to is what's interesting. So there's nothing that I can say, this smells like this. No, nothing smells like Lauder for Men that I've ever come across. It does have cologne style features, okay? So if you've ever smelled things like, somebody that I heard compared it to something like this. If you've ever smelled Boucheron pour Homme, it's sort of in the ballpark. I like this better, actually. But this is sort of in the ballpark. But there's really nothing that I could say, this smells like Estee Lauder for Men. It's very unique. It does have cologne qualities. It's very fresh and aromatic. Even though it's not a listed note, my nose gets tons of galbanum. I get a lot of galbanum from this. So if you like green fragrances, like if you're a fan of number 19, there's lots of, I think there's lots of galbanum in here. It's not a listed note, but it goes galbanum, spicy, cardamom, coriander, sage, and lots of lemon and orange and, citrus quality. And those citruses do tend to last. Somehow they really made them last. And then it dries into that patchouli with a little bit of rooty vetiver, some sandalwood. In the old bottles, there were loads of oak moss in the base. The new bottles don't have the oak moss. They have whatever substitute they're using for oak moss nowadays. But damn it, it's a damn good substitute. And I've smelled the real oak moss. I mean, I have the real oak moss that Russian Adam sent to me. And even though I know this is not the real deal, it smells damn good. And that's what you want in a modern reformulated version, right? Is you want the perfumer to make it in a way where it smells, you know, it smells legit. It smells close to what it used to be. And they did a great job here, you know, for, now this is going to be a little bit more than the 50 or 60 bucks I told you here. This will be 70 or 80, I think, retail. But I think it's worth it. If you just want to take your money and buy a retail fragrance, Lauder for Men. Okay, the final one. Now, this is another cheapie. One you can just go to the discounters and get for $18 for 100 mils. You'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Actually, someone did that. Go watch my review of this fragrance and look in the comments. Someone just left a comment and said, "Damn it, Ramsey, you were right. It arrived. I wore it. It's everything I expected and more. I can't believe how good this is. Thank you, all that stuff." And I agree 100% with what he said. I have 3 bottles of this stuff. 2 are vintage splash. They don't make splash anymore. This is a current modern spray. And it's from 1987. It's from 1987. And it's called Lapidus pour Homme. Okay. Now, Lapidus pour Homme, what sets this apart from some of my other 80s fragrances, like Leonard pour Homme, discontinued. Koros, gotta buy the vintage in my opinion. The modern sucks. Without the silver shoulders, you know, it's Koros without his armor. You don't want it. Antaeus, even though Chanel does a great job of keeping things up to date, there are differences to my nose. I prefer the old silver sprayers. Even if they're only 15 or 20 years old, 10, 20 years old, it's a big difference in the stuff they're selling now. If you can get the original where the eau de toilette is written above Chanel, even better. Then you're getting an 80s bottle of Antaeus. So what separates this from all my other loves from the 80s, Boss number 1, I would say go for the one that, you know, that doesn't say number 1 on there, or at least was made by Giorgio Beverly Hills, or, you know, there are definers that I would put on there that I would tell you to go look for. Even though the modern stuff is okay, and that may make this list one day, but for now, what sets this apart from those fragrances for me is you can just go buy this. You can just go buy it right now. The stuff Jacques Bogart puts out right now in this bottle today, the modern stuff, is absolutely stunning. I have no clue how the House of Bogart, number 1, makes any money at $15 a bottle. No clue. Number 2, how do they keep this so current? How do they keep this so current? And big houses with 10, 20, 30, 50 times the budget can't do it. What is their secret? This is... I love this stuff. If you like honey, this is a grail fragrance for you. It's honey. There's pineapple in the top. This is pineapple before Aventus made pineapple popular. There's tons of lavender. There's tarragon, which I've learned I love tarragon in a fragrance. The opening with that tarragon. Orris, it's a little bit powdery. There's some green notes from the pine. There's floral notes from the rose. You know, there's rosewood, which literally smells like wood infused with rose, so it kind of makes it a little bit more woody, but it's the base. It's the oak moss, the tobacco, the amber, the woods. There's a little bit of patchouli, and there's a little bit of tonka, and it's just perfect. I love this stuff exactly how it is. I will wear this anytime, any place. In fact, I have a big meeting tomorrow. I might wear this. It is absolutely stunning. I think it completely sets you apart. You know, this is the type of perfumery now that if it was in one of these bottles with the fancy Swarovski crystal cap, or with the atomizer with a battery that powers the atomizer so it, you know, splashes you with as much juice as could human, you know, half the bottle goes down when you spray it. You know, people would pay hundreds, $1,000 for this stuff nowadays. If Roja Dove put this in an exclusive collection, and, you know, people would pay it. I'm telling you, they would pay it. I'm telling you. It's just the fact that it's an $18 bottle. People dismiss it. And this stuff is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely. Made my top 100. Easily made my top 100. If you haven't watched my top 100 and you're new to the channel, go do that. You'll get a good feel for my taste watching the top 100. And it is, it's so unique to me. It is spicy. It is woody. It will put you off at first, probably. My guess. First time you wear this, you're going to go, what the hell is this? Maybe. Or you could be like the guy that left a comment on the video that I did, because I did a comparison video between the vintage and the modern, and I said there are differences, but they're both good. The modern, you can just go grab. You don't have to worry about hunting down vintages. Now, if you grab this for $18 and you love it, try to find one of the ones that was a splash back in the day with the short ingredient list, and you'll get the original smell of Lapidus pour Homme. But they did such a great job of keeping this current. I honestly don't think you even have to do that. I don't think it's worth it. There are some fragrances, I will tell you, go buy the vintage. Go buy the vintage Koros with the silver shoulders. You know, go buy the vintage Antaeus with the silver sprayer. That kind of stuff. This, just go spend 18 bucks. Go get 10 bottles from fragrancebuy.ca for $100, you know. And I still can't believe they've been able to keep this the way they have for so long. And how about the bottle? I mean, it's just, now the old bottles, this was metal. So you see how this is plastic? This is metal. Speaking of Roja Dove, and speaking of the DNA of Zino and Heritage, just to wrap this video up, as you can see, I love this DNA. Most people are going to know what fragrance I'm about to talk about next if you know me or if you know perfume. If you don't and you're new, though, just a quick tip. So this fragrance right here is a fragrance called Danger. Danger Pour Homme Parfum from Roja Dove. Now, it does come in the fancy silk bed. You know, there's a top to it, too, back there. And it comes with the Swarovski crystal. But this is Heritage. Wrapped up in Roja's high-quality ingredients. So wrapped up in the real ambergris, wrapped up in the Animale cumin and civet. But at its heart, it's this. It's Heritage. At its heart, it is Zino. At its heart, it is. Period. End of story. There's no question about it. I don't even think the brand could argue that. This is 100% at its heart Heritage. That's why this video is so important, because you could spend $500 on this, and yes, you do get the shiny bottle. Yes, it's true. You get the bling bling if you want to flex. If that's not really your thing. Now, for me, I did it because I love this DNA, and I wanted to explore what Roja did on top of Heritage. Once you get to that level of love for perfumery, sure. But if you're buying this thinking, oh, my fragrance is so much better than yours because it's $500 and it has a cool little plate. No, it's not. You're getting the genius of the creation were people like Jean-Paul Guerlain, one of the greatest noses to ever live, or Michel Almerac. Those were the geniuses of this DNA that created it. Roja piggybacked on it. That's why this video is so important. If you don't have these type of things in your collection and you would like to start a collection and you want to get your nose accustomed to smelling vintages, start with the modern of these 5. That's my recommendation. Zino, Heritage, Animale Animale, Lauder for Men, Lapidus pour Homme. Start with those 5, and then once you have those 5 down, you can go hunt the vintage if you really love it, or you can go listen to my other work on Ramsey's Rambles on Discontinued Fragrances and add more to the list. Try to hunt down other fragrances. Try to get your nose on other vintages that you think you might like once you get the DNA down, because there are different DNAs you can begin to hunt, right? Like I would put these 3 together, like I just said. I put these 3 together. I would put this with Boss Number 1. Or even Marbert Man, which is very hard to find. But I love Marbert Man. Or Marbert for Men. Damn it, I'm going to have to pull it out now and see. Which one is it? Which one do I love? I love Marbert Man. Yeah, I would put the honey aspect in here with Boss Number 1, right? So you can start to lump fragrances together, like I mentioned, Animale Animale and Amen, right? You can lump them together and start to hunt the type that you really love. That's where these That's where these videos can really come in handy, is they can hopefully help you find what DNA category you really love and begin to start picking the fragrances that are your favorite. And what better way to get your nose? Like I said, people pay tons of money, okay? I'm kicking Roja's brand in the nuts here because $500 for 50 ml is no small ask, okay? That's a serious ask nowadays. And people pay tons of money to get this experience. They just don't know it. A lot of them don't know it. Many of them don't know it. If you've never smelled this and you smelled Danger for Homme and you proclaimed Roja the greatest perfumer of all time, I wouldn't blame you one bit. I would not blame you one bit. This is absolutely stunning DNA. Like I said, CEO level scent. This will stamp your authority all over everybody if you walk in with this. You know, it's like, the boss is here, everyone shut up, sit down. That's the scent this brings to mind. And, you know, so that's where these videos can hopefully come in handy. You don't have to spend that kind of money to get this DNA. So I hope you guys liked the video. It's something I've been pondering for a while. People have asked me to do it for a while. I don't know what I'm going to name it. If you guys think of a cool name, let me know. But it's just basically 5 vintage fragrances that are still good in their current modern form. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, everybody. I appreciate all the feedback. Honestly, you guys are amazing. Like, I mean, my perfume god people are... I feel like I'm sponsored. I'm not sponsored, but the fact that I'm not sponsored basically allows me to say whatever the hell I want to say about these fragrances, which I absolutely love being able to do. Because guess what? The people who got the free bottles, they're not going to say what I just said. They're not going to talk down about a brand because they want the free bottle train to keep coming, right? I don't have that issue. I bought all these bottles with my money, except for the 1 or 2 bottles that was very kindly sent to me by one of you, and you know who you are. But outside of that, this is my own blood, sweat, tears, money that I've poured into this hobby. And because of that, I can say whatever the hell I want to say about a brand. So the fact that you guys are kind of supporting me with stuff like this, where I can get my nose on a bunch of stuff and, you know, sample it and say what I want to say about it is, I feel very blessed. Honestly, I do. You guys have been amazing. We're working towards 2,000 subscribers slowly but surely, but just the subscribers I have so far, honestly, absolutely blessed and amazing to be blessed with such level of subscribe and knowledge. You know, the knowledge you guys have are, I would say, I would probably put my subscribers as far as knowledge goes against anyone. Any other person that does YouTube, their subscribers versus someone like mine, you know, the subscriber base for someone like me or someone like Rich Mitch is probably very similar. So the way our subscriber base has been set up, I would put them against anybody, honestly, any of the big dogs. So thank you. I really do appreciate it, honestly. And every like and subscription and every comment that you leave, I try to respond to every single comment. So if you leave a comment, I will respond. Okay, so here we go. 53 minutes and a half. That's a short video for me. Like I said, put me on 1.5 times speed and just let me go. When you're watching these, it'll go much quicker. So I appreciate everyone watching, truly. I hope you guys like the idea for the new video. If you do, let me know, and I'll do more of these. I just need to think. Problem is finding 5 more vintage fragrances in their current form that are good, which is not easy to do. So, all right, guys, cheers. Take care. I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye now.